Flagpole that in 19 days will proudly fly the Cuban flag again. After news the US is largely abandoning its decades-long policy of isolation towards the island nation, with a call for lawmakers to follow suit.
Americans and Cubans alike are ready to move forward. I believe it's time for Congress to do the same. And I've called on Congress to take steps to lift the embargo that prevents Americans from traveling or doing business in Cuba. We've already seen members from both parties begin that work. After all, why should Washington stand in the way of our own people?
Welcome news for a country that has long espoused the values of engagement.
The discussion started well beyond when our former President Nelson Mandela, when we got democracy in South Africa and we became part of the international community, the discussion started then. I remember very well that President Mandela was involved in this, President Thabo Mbeki was involved, President Zuma has been involved. So all the way around since 1994, this discussion had been taking place.
Mahlangu called his country's relationship with Cuba a fraternal one.
An overwhelming majority of foreign governments have now for years been lobbying the US government to ease restrictions on Cuba, no less the staff that have occupied this embassy for the last 2 decades. And while the incremental but significant steps are to be welcomed, the lobbying will now shift from the White House to members of Congress who have the final say on whether the US embargo on Cuba is here to stay or go. Bryce-Pease, SABC News, Washington.